the February after I got elected, the young man had come by the house. I was walking out the door for work, and he asked me. He said, "Garrett, are you on the city council?" I said, "Yeah, man. How do you know that?" And he said, "Well, because my class read an article about you for Black History Month."
Oh,
And he
wow.
looked at me. He said, "Do you think I can be on the city council one day?" And for me, that was probably the most impactful experience that I had in serving, because I realized that I would have an opportunity to inspire other young men of color who had gone through some very traumatic life experiences that could understand and believe that where they were and where they started is not necessarily where their destination has to be.
What's up, changemakers? Welcome to another episode of JLD Storytellers, where we share inspiring stories of young men of color in our community. Let's get into it. Hi, my name is Dia Nyarko, and I'm the co-founder and executive director of JLD Community Solutions, a nonprofit organization started by my mom and I in honor of my brother, Johnny Leroy Lee Dawkins Jr., who lost his life to gun violence at the age of 25. Our mission is to empower young men of color through providing scholarships and leadership development, equipping them with the tools and resources needed to succeed, while also promoting community safety and engagement. We have another great episode for you today. And before we get into it, I'm going to bring to the stage my wonderful co-host, Mr. Kakaro, Coco Smith. Woo, woo, woo.
How's it going? How's it going?
I will not complain. I told people, me and my family used to have 10 eyes, not 10 eyes, 10 fingers, 10 toes. We're still breathing. So I think we're doing okay.
Amen. Amen.
Yes. You know what, Coca, I wanted to ask you before we jump into this amazing episode today.
Mhm.
What has been one of your favorite things so far about doing these interviews?
Um, I think it's giving the community insight on everybody that we brought up, because like last episode where we had Kendrick, like his, now you see on social media everybody's like paying him attention when he shares stuff. They sharing it. Jarrell, he's always had the spotlight, but it's like now everybody is starting to focus in, and I'm getting feedback from these episodes. Even when I go to work, people are telling me like, "Hey, I seen this," or "I seen yours," or so. I think it's very impactful. So that's like the big take I take from it, that people are paying attention.
I love that. I love too, because you can see somebody, all your life and feel like you know them, but then whenever you actually hear their story, you're like, "Oh wow." Like you learn something new when you actually
Yeah.
listen to them. And I was also thinking about how much I've enjoyed having these conversations, and I got to thinking about the last time I was with my brother, and I remember he was cutting my hair because he was talking about becoming a barber. And we were just talking, and he was telling me about how he needed to get out of Lexington, and was just sharing with me just some of the things he wanted to do, go to the service and stuff. And so as I look at these different, conversations we've had, I'm like, wow, it's almost like I get to continue these conversations, that I can't have with my brother now, but I can like have them with my other brothers, if you will,
Right.
So
Right. 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 Right.
really enjoy that. Well, all right, you guys. Again, we have another good one. And Coco, would you like to introduce or just let them know who we've got coming to the stage?
Well, without further ado, the great Garrett Holloway, a graduate from Lexington Senior High School. He graduated from UNC, Chapel Hill, Go Tar Heels. Now he's on City Council. I'm gonna be honest. I know Garrett, but I don't know everything that he does. So this episode, I want him to share all about himself, who he is, what he's going to do, what he's doing. And without further ado, we have Garrett Holloway.
All right, Garrett. Woo, woo, woo.
Thank you all so much for having me today.
So, Garrett, I gotta ask you, man, how did it feel to watch Duke lose last night?
But let me tell you, I fell asleep. It was a 14-point game, and Duke was up. And it just so happened that my phone just kept going off. So when I woke up, I saw the final score. The game was ending. I said, "Man, this is great." It felt great. I actually thought they were gonna win it all. So
Yeah,
I
me too.
was certainly pleasantly surprised last night.
Oh man, I didn't watch. I heard all the rumble yesterday about it, but
Yes.
yeah.
That's crazy. Crazy.
And you know what? I do have one question also I wanted to ask, because I got to see you yesterday with your daughter, and I know all of us share this, that we're parents. I wanted to ask you, what has being a parent, what is one thing that being a parent has taught you?
Well, I will tell it has really taught me patience.
Mm-hmm.
I think number one, more so than anything, my parents love me, but there's no quite love like having a child of your own. And you really learn a lot about yourself in the process
Mm-hmm.
of becoming a parent and being a first time parent. You don't know everything that you should be doing, and there's a lot of trial and error. You make a lot of mistakes. I'll tell you, I'm not a beautician yet, but I'm really getting good at doing hair. I'm really, really getting good at it, and it's actually I'm enjoying it. And she, seeing her grow into the person that she's becoming, and her obtaining her own sense of style is you're like a cheerleader, just watching your child grow. I remember I would see people on Facebook, and they, my daughter or my child did this, they did that. So why do people post all the time? And every time my daughter does something, I want to do the same thing. And so I get it. It's certainly a different type of love. And, every day that I wake up and I, go to work or whatever it is that I do, I make those sacrifices in hopes that, hopefully she can have a better life than even I did. So it's been an amazing experience. It really has.
That's awesome. I love that.
Piggybacking off of that, who has been the most influential person in your life, and how did they shape your journey?
Man, I think the answer for me is certainly like my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I mean, he has been just amazing in all the things that he has done. He has continued to do, and staying rooted and grounded in my faith, even when things seem insurmountable, when things seem like they are out of my control, when things seem like they're too big for my hands. I've learned that that's when they are just right for his. And so certainly him on earth has definitely been my mom. She has been my biggest supporter, and certainly been in my corner and there to correct me and guide me and give me advice. And she's been amazing, and still continuing to be a grandmother, even in the midst of what she had going on physically in her body over the last couple of years. Seeing her fight in that way certainly even allowed me to have even more respect for her as a woman, as a parent. It was not easy, I can't imagine, but I never saw it bother her. I never saw it get her down, and she was still worried about me and my sister and what we had going on, even in the midst of her physical trial as well. And as I've gotten older, I've lost my father now. You begin to see your parents as human, and not quite as immortal as they once were. So many years ago. And so, just start trying to spend time with my family, and appreciate all that she did for me growing up until this point in my life. It's been great as well.
That's big.
It is. And I just wanted to say, when you were talking about like saying, the immortal piece of it, it made me even think of my great grandparents, because I'm like,
Right.
when they were like when I was getting older, I knew that I went from 20 to 30, and all that. But in my head, they were just supposed to stay the same age. Like, you're not supposed to get older while I get older.
Right.
What I was when I was 5,
Right.
No, that's not how it works.
That's not how it works at all. No.
Yeah. I still battle that daily. Like, I still feel like I'm a kid. Like,
right.
Around my parents and my grandparents, I'm still like their baby. So it's hard for me to. I got kids.
Yes.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So, Garrett, for those who don't know, you do real estate.
Yes.
What inspired you to go for that career path? What pushed you towards that direction?
At the time I was teaching over at West Salem Prep, which was again just an amazing experience. Had a great time over there with those children. At the time, my wife was pregnant with our daughter, and she was gonna be going out of work for a while, and I said, well, I'm gonna have to figure out something else to do, and I had no idea what it was I was gonna do. So in the meantime, I got invited to a lunch by one guy I didn't know, and the other two gentlemen I didn't know at all, and we met at the Village Grill, and we got to talking, and they said, Gary, we really think that this would be a lucrative career for you, and that you would be really good at it. And so, again, I didn't know anything about it. And then the one guy says, I believe in you so much, I'm willing to pay for you to get your license.
Wow.
And so, there's
nice.
there with a baseball hat. And so, so that happened, and I took a class for several months. And my daughter just came into the room. And so I took the class for several months, and that's how I got started. And then, I was at the age, probably 24, 25. So all of my friends were, starting to have children and things like that. And so I was able to reach out to the ones that I figured, maybe would have the capacity to buy a house, and they did. And that's just kind of how I got started from there. Yeah.
So, and I wonder what it is. Did they ever tell you when he said, I believe in you so much? Like, did he ever say what?
Well, they were, and it's a complicated story, but at the time they were starting this company together, and I think two or three of them had been working. Two of them had been working at a prior company, and some things had happened, and they wanted to start their own. They brought in a third guy, and so they were literally starting the company from the ground up, and so they were going out and they were taking folks from Lexington out to lunch to kind of gauge their interest, to see if they were interested in a career change, that type of thing. And so I was probably the first person that they hired. And this has been years now, so everybody's kind of gone off and done their own thing at this point. But certainly indebted to those guys for helping me get started and training me and getting me going. It's been a great experience. It really has.
That's awesome. Well, and then on top of real estate, you found yourself on the city council for Lexington, North Carolina, right?
Yes.
So, and you're representing Ward 5 in Lexington. And so I'm wondering, what motivated you to run for a position on the Lexington City Council, and how has that role impacted your life and the community around you?
Yeah, so we were living in Kernersville at the time. We moved back to Lexington, and just like many things, you think that when God sends you somewhere, it's going to be a temporary stay. So we were coming to Lexington. We were going to save some money. We were going to get married. We were going to go off and do some other things. And so I remember it so vividly. I was sitting on the porch where I would see you and Lily ride by every day on Rayford Avenue, right? And I remember my wife saying to me, she said, "I don't think this is going to be temporary." I said, "No, I don't think so either."
Don't say those words.
And as I was sitting on the porch, like every day, I mean, it would be cars, just stopping. Some people to say hello, some people to talk to me about concerns in the community and things like that. And I started asking God, what is it that you're saying to me in this season of my life? And so Mr. Tyrone Terry came to me, and he asked me to come to a couple of city council meetings with him, and sort of observe the way things were going and see if I thought I would have the capacity to help in some way. And so that's what happened. And I began to talk to my friends and neighbors and family members. And we both have really big families in Ward 5. And as I started going through the voter list, I said, well, that's my aunt, that's my uncle, that's my cousin, that type of thing.
Yep.
And these are folks whose homes I grew up in and that type of thing. And so I started reaching out to them, and it kind of just materialized from there. It is certainly, getting elected at 24, there is so much, just to still learn about the community, the way that, decisions are made, and how people arrive at the conclusion that they do. It's been a great experience. It really has. And, I would encourage anyone, whether it's the city council or just serving on any type of board in the community, one that may interest you or something that may prompt you to want to learn more. I would encourage anyone to do that, because it has really been an eye-opening experience. And those are the folks and the committees and the boards that really impact your life on a day-to-day basis. And so it's really important that A, who your elected officials are, but B, that you also are keeping an eye on what it is that they're doing, because you don't really think that it matters until it does, right? You know, your mom and I were talking about something just yesterday, a decision that was made 3 or 4 years ago. Some folks that approached her about it. That's just kind of how it goes sometimes. So it's really important to just stay abreast to what it is that's going on in your community, in your neighborhood. And I've been honored to serve as their representative for the last 6 years now, which is crazy. But yeah, 6 years now.
That is. And are you like one of the youngest individuals who have been elected to?
Yeah. So when I got
election?
elected, I was just 24 years old, and I was the youngest to get elected. And, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So, and I asked that too, because one, that's not just some small feat. Like to actually be one of like to be the youngest person elected, that's amazing. And also I'm wondering, like, what do you feel like will help young people in the community to realize how important it is to be engaged in city council meetings and stuff like that?
Well, I think that representation just across the board is really important, right? So one of the you asked prior, how do I think it has impacted the community? It's just been such an honor to see so many young people really get engaged and come out and vote, because there were folks who sacrificed their lives to ensure that people voted. There were folks like your grandfather and young blue man who spent hours and hours and hours and days, making sure that folks got to the polls to make their voices heard. So that's to continue that legacy has been great, because it really is important, and our community does matter. I hope that moving forward that folks in my generation, and now even the generation that's coming up afterwards, that Coco has the privilege to teach, and that the scholarship has the opportunity to continue to help and support, that those folks will continue to make their voices heard, and that they will remain engaged civically, so that they have a seat at the table when decisions are made that impact their lives and the lives of their children as well.
Do you feel like in your role in real estate or city council or in public service, being a young man of color have created any challenges for you that you feel like you've had to overcome? And if so, how did you overcome them?
Absolutely. And one of the ways that, you realize that, and I know that you understand as well, you realize that sometimes when folks have an issue with the decision that you make, you have to compartmentalize it and realize that, like, it's not always personal, right? One of the things that I do outside of those capacities is I referee basketball. One of the things that Pat McCory said about refereeing basketball, he said that it taught him how to make a decision and stick to it, right? And so one of the ways that's helped me is that it's allowed me to, you walk in the gym and I might be in Southeast Guilford. I might not know a single person in the gym other than my partners, and I hope they have my back that night, right? Because I've been on games where that's not always the case, But in saying that, it certainly allowed me to, whether I'm at a city council meeting or I'm in real estate, I could tell some stories about some things that have happened where I know that race and age have played a part in the decision that was made. I'll tell one story. I was a part of a group. I was the only realtor in the group, but it was a group of people that were getting together. And essentially what we would do is you have one person from every profession in this group. And so, you have a car salesman, you might have a plumber, you might have an HVAC specialist, and we would meet for breakfast. And, if an HVAC guy is going out and, he's putting an HVAC on Dia's house, and Dia says, I really need to sell my house. We pay the money. And so the idea is that the HVAC specialist would then refer that person to me. Or if I'm out and this person needs a plumber, that I would, then refer that client to the plumber. And essentially we call it share leads. Like if somebody gets a lead, just kind of share back and forth. But there was a guy who was a real estate investor that was a part of the group. And he had come to me about selling some townhouses in Chapel Hill. So I looked at it, and I was actually taking the place of one of my white colleagues in this group. So there was a guy that was in the group. He got out. He wanted me to take his place, so I took his place. And so the guy came to me. He wanted me to sell some townhouses in Chapel Hill, and I quoted him a price. And it was fair market value. And the price that he shot back to me was 75% of the market value is what he wanted me to sell for. So I was, a little startled. And so I reach out to the guy that I replaced, and I say, hey, have you ever sold anything for this guy before? And he said, yeah. And so I sent him what the guy sent me, and I sent him the townhouses. I said, man, this is like when you sold some things for him before, did he pay fair market value? He said, oh, absolutely. And he tipped me. And so at that point, I got out of that group completely.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, folks will have, those stories, in real estate, they say that most of your clients are going to end up being around between 7 years of your age anyway. But yeah, so those things have happened more than once. But at the end of the day, like I said, you can't take it personal, and you have to. I realized that in any business, nobody has to support you, nobody has to patronize your business. So I've learned to be grateful for the clients I have, and do the best I can by them, and see where it goes.
Man, yeah. that is the reality, right? That
right.
face sometimes that you don't want to believe is true, but then whenever it smacks you in the face, you're just like, okay.
Right.
But you adjust, and you're like, okay, I know how to move forward from here. Okay.
Right, for sure.
Yep.
So, could you tell us that big moment, whether it was real estate or just being in public service? What was that moment that made you the most proud in any position or both?
Oh man, that's an easy story there.
Okay.
So the February after I got elected, there was a young man who lived next door to us, and he was 9 years old. He was from California, and he had moved to Lexington because his father had got killed in a drive-by shooting in California.
Wow.
And they moved to North Carolina for a better life. And so he would come by the house every day. And, it was kind of like a breath of fresh air. At first it's like, man, this kid comes to my house all the time. But, you're dealing with so many things on a personal level. I started looking forward to seeing him. And it's funny, his mom and I, we started calling each other cousins because she was right next door. And he was always there. She would bring us food. And, her boyfriend would look after the house when we were gone. As a matter of fact, one night there were some folks outside and he didn't know if I was home or not. He'd come banging on the door, make sure we were okay, that type of thing. Just good neighbors. Well, anyway, the February after I got elected, the young man had come by the house. I was walking out the door for work, and he asked me, he said, Garrett, are you on the city council? I said, yeah, man, how do you know that? And he said, well, because my class read an article about you for Black History Month.
Oh,
and he looked at me, he said, do you think I can be on the city council one day? And, for me, that was probably the most impactful experience that I had in serving, because I realized that, I would have an opportunity to inspire other young men of color who had gone through some very traumatic life experiences that could understand and believe that where they were and where they started is not necessarily where their destination has to be. And so, so that was probably one of the most impactful experiences, not just in my career in public service, but ultimately in my life as well.
That's amazing.
Man, yeah. That is, I can't even imagine to have an honor like that and know that they're reading about you in Black history in their class.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
At a young age too.
Right.
You're making history now, so this is going to carry on.
Right.
Yes.
What's up, change makers? Let me keep it real with you for a second. Growing up as a young Black man, I know firsthand how hard it can be to navigate a world that doesn't always see your potential. Did you know that nationally, for every dollar invested in youth programs, only 10 cents goes to programs specifically for young men of color? 10 cents, despite the disproportionate need. In Lexington, we're striving to change this statistic. JLD Community Solutions is breaking this cycle through providing scholarships and leadership development, focusing on crucial topics such as financial literacy and vital life skills, proven tools to break cycles of poverty and violence. Over 30 young men have already been lifted up by this work, and over $25,000 in scholarships awarded to help with college expenses. That's what happens when we invest in our own. But here's the thing, we can't do this alone. With resources shrinking, these young kings need us now more than ever. For just $15 a month, less than what most of us spend on coffee or streaming services. You can help make sure these programs don't just survive, but thrive. Your $15 could be the difference between a young man giving up or stepping into his greatness. Join me today as a monthly partner with JLD Community Solutions. Let's show these young men we see them, believe in them, and are here to help them win. Visit our website and sign up now because their future can't wait.
I wanted to ask, going back to that referee, discussion and how, you learn to, in these positions where you learn, like, if you make a decision, learn to stick with it, because these are things that you have to learn, as you're in these roles and stuff like that. And I'm sorry, I know, Coco, this was not a part of our thing. And I was thinking about this, and I was just like, I've just got to ask this question. When in that referee situation or any of these other roles, when you realize I did make a bad call, how do you address when you actually realize I did make a bad call?
So that's pretty simple. When the coach says something to you, you say to the coach, now I might have messed that one up. And I've done it multiple times, and I'll tell them. Or, sometimes the coach will say, hey, I saw X, Y, Z on this play. And I'll say, well, coach, I saw the play develop just slightly differently than you did. And, and just having that discussion, a lot of times they appreciate it that way. But when I'm wrong, I certainly will tell them. Now, you don't want to be the guy that's telling them all game, hey, I messed that up, and you're doing that every possession, because that's not good. But especially once you establish a relationship with them, and over time you begin to see the same coaches over and over again. You certainly don't want to be that official that is just sticking to coach every chance you get, or sticking to player every chance you get, because in a certain context, those are your colleagues, right? And, those coaches, they might be at Lexington this year. They might be at Thomasville. They might be at Salisbury. And you're going to see them, over the course of several years. So you certainly want to establish a rapport. So a lot of times for me, that's worked. I would just say, hey, coach, I might have messed this one up. This is what I saw happen. But now that I've had a chance to process the play, that's not necessarily what happened. A lot of times we'll get together every Friday night during the season. And, what we jokingly tell coaches is that, we're sitting here processing and looking at a play for 30 minutes that someone had to make a decision on in 3 seconds. And so there is a human error that goes into it, but there's also a lot of preparation, a lot of film, a lot of clinics, a lot of trainings, a lot of practice that goes into getting out there as well. So you want to limit the errors, but there is a human element to the game. And so when that happens, for me, I tell the coach, hey, I might have messed that one up, or I did mess that one up, and they'll usually respect that a lot more than trying to justify something that they know did not happen, and so that is work for me. Now, that's not to say that they always take that, but it works most of the time.
I know, because I feel like that's just an important thing for as people are coming up into leadership, whether it be a referee, whether it be in city council, whether it be your job as a manager, to learn how to know, like, how to be able to say, my bad, I actually did get that one wrong. Right. A very key thing to learn. But okay, right. Coco, I'm gonna be quiet.
Nah, you're good. So my question, how do you balance the two, the responsibilities from city council and a real estate agent? How do you do that?
I think time management is really important. It's something that I'm still learning today, because I haven't always done it well. And so just balancing your time and making time for the things that are most important, right? Which is first and foremost your family, right? And then you have those responsibilities to provide for that family, but also the responsibility for your community. And so managing your time, and also taking time to do things that you enjoy doing as well. And there has to be a delicate balance. A couple of weeks ago, Coco, when Carolina beat Wake Forest, me and a couple of my friends said, we're just going to go to the ACC semifinal game in Charlotte, just take a moment to decompress, to wind down, because I think we all need those things in order to move forward. Every day I set an agenda on my phone and my notes, and so I know everything that I have to get done that day. Any phone calls I have to return, any appointments I have to take, anybody I need to go see and visit and sit with, or whatever it is. And so I try to schedule my days and my weeks so that I can cover all my bases, but also that I can take some time to do some things that are important to me. So
time management, that's big. Trust me, I know all about that. Trust me.
Yes, and learning that self-care piece of it, man.
Right.
Stepping back, being able to say, no, I've had enough. It's time to go be with my family, do the things that actually matter, and come back, and then I can be able to bring my best self to help the community. And so, speaking of helping the community, I know I don't live in Lexington now, but I know I get a chance to talk to people, and I know they different issues that I've heard, and stuff like high cost of utilities in the city of Lexington and stuff like that. And so I'm wondering how do you feel? Or do you feel like the duality of your roles in real estate and city council has it positioned you in a way to help you to address some of these issues and maybe even improve some of these things?
Yes, I'll tell you the downside is that sometimes you learn some things that you probably didn't want to know.
Yeah.
And currently we actually just commissioned our staff to conduct a housing a survey, a study of Lexington, because it's not lost on us that there is a housing crisis. It's a housing crisis in a lot of places, but it's especially a housing crisis in Lexington, and folks are struggling. Economically, they're struggling. They're struggling with their utility bills. They're struggling to find safe and affordable places to stay. And so we need to figure out what it is that we need to do in order to continue to address those issues. On the real estate front, it positions me, because I always tell folks, hey, they have to charge you more to rent the house than it's costing them to buy the house, or if the house is paid for. They're having to charge you more than what their monthly expenses are to cover, the cost of the house. And so, a lot of times, folks will hit me up and they'll say, hey, I'm paying $1,800 a month of rent. I'm paying $1,500 a month of rent. And I tell them, well, if you can afford that, man, you can afford to buy a house. You're doing that, and you can go on vacation. You're doing that, and you can do these. And if we'll sit down and we can put together a budget and figure out what it is they need to do in order to be able to afford to buy a house. I have a wonderful credit person that I work with that can help folks in terms of improving their credit as well. And so, being in real estate has allowed me the opportunity to coach people in that capacity as well. That you don't have to sit and help pay someone else's rent or pay someone else's mortgage forever. You can purchase your own home, and then you have an opportunity to leave that. You can pay it off, or you can keep it for 5 or 6 years, and you can sell it. I have a friend right now. She purchased her house, I don't know, 2 years ago, $135,000. We're back on the market now for like $225.
Yeah.
3 years. I mean, it's not bad. She got married, has a child now, put the money in her pocket, and they can get ready to purchase their next home. And so, so that, it's also an investment. If you don't want to do that route, it's something that you can, it's legacy. I mean, it's something that you can leave for your family, your children. I would say about 30% of the home, or maybe even more than that, 40%. Every house, well, just about every house I have under contract right now is an estate sale. Folks who have passed away, and they were able to leave some things for their family, so that their kids and their grandchildren don't have to struggle. And a lot of times it's not enough to do nothing, but it is something to help you get started, and something to help you get started. You don't have to worry about money for a while. And so that I mean, I don't. Someone said this, that there is no, if you have real estate, you can't make a bad decision in purchasing real estate, right? That if you have access to it, that if you have access to it, that that you have an opportunity to make money off of it, whether now or something for your children as well. So I subscribe to that belief. I think that's true as well.
I definitely do believe like getting property and having some home, real estate is definitely one of those means of being able to create wealth for a family.
Oh,
and so,
for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
Absolutely. What are some of your future goals that you
I saw that question. And to be honest, I don't know. I think that one of the things that I continue to do every day is that I always pray and I just ask God to lead me in the right direction. As opportunities present themselves, we'll see. I don't have any specific goal, or aspiration that I'm chasing out other than just really being the best man that I can for my family, and living a life that is pleasing to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Other than that, I have professionally, I have no idea where this will go. I would love to stay in real estate and continue to help the folks in our community. But I really don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. And that's okay. Sometimes just being in the present is just where we need to be. So.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Amen. So Garrett, what advice would you give young men of color who want to be successful and who want to be a part of the group that makes a difference in the community? What advice would you give them?
Well, I think that the advice that I always give is to figure out, what it is that you do well and where it is that you can help. The Bible says that your talents will make room for you. And Coco, what you do may be different than what I do. It may be different than what Dia does. But Carrick, he has his field, right? And art, and Jarrell has his field, and I have mine. And I think that you figure out, what it is that you do well and where it is that you can truly be a servant to other people. That might be basketball, that might be football, that might be acting, that might be through public service. It might be through teaching and coaching and inspiring and engaging other young men and women of color. I mean, there's a variety of different things that it is you can do to make an impact and a difference in our community. I think that the main thing is figuring out where it is that you are supposed to be and make the most out of that experience. And sometimes where you're supposed to be is not always where you want to be. But whenever you get in that role and you find that lane, do the best you can with it, and just see where it goes. I'm a witness that God is a provider, that He is a keeper, that He is a sustainer, and He will put you exactly where it is that you need to be in order for Him to use you for His glory. And so, So that's what I would say.
I got a question, a side piece. This is off the record, not off the record, but this wasn't planned. What is the secret to always staying happy? I've never seen you angry.
That's a good question.
I've never seen you in a bad mood.
Man, I'll tell you, refereeing basketball. No, clear in my mind, having an opportunity. It's always funny. I joke about it, but I tell my friends all the time that even with now being an off season, they doing AAU basketball. I always get a game when I absolutely have to have one, and so I did 4 yesterday. So the secret is, I think remaining in prayer and finding again things to do that really allow you to clear your mind. I try to walk 2 miles a day, so that whenever I am presenting myself to anyone, that I'm always the best version of myself. And sometimes that requires you to be intentional. But no, man, I certainly do have bad days, but I try to realize that even on my bad days that God is still good. And so, every day that I wake up, I have another opportunity to get it right, to fix what I messed up, to say I'm sorry, to apologize, to work, and to be the best version of myself that I can be.
Okay. I just wanted to know that because I remember you from First Baptist days. Like,
oh man, that was a long time ago.
yeah, so you've always been this person. So I just wonder, like, what's the secret, man?
I know yesterday when we had our basketball tournament and Mr. Tim Holt, he kind of got people registered and coming in and whatnot. And he, I was talking to him and I'm like, Mr. Tim, because he has such a big smile. Like Mr. Tim is a big person with a big smile. And I'm Mr. Tim, how are you doing? He's like, it's a great day. He said, I tell you every day, it's a great day. He said, even when the aches and pains, it's a great day. And I said, he said, so I say that every day. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna take that, Mr. Tim. It's a great day. Well, I think I don't know. The only last thing that I think I wanted to ask was because some people may not know that you were also a scholarship recipient of the JLD Scholarship Fund. So just wanted to find out, like, what did it mean to you to be a recipient?
I think out of all the scholarships that I won that year, this of course was the most personal. Lily was my cousin, and he lived a couple of doors down from us. And he was, I loved him, and I looked up to him, and him seeing him fly down the road in his car every day. I mean, he was an amazing guy, an amazing big cousin to me. And so, and I was certainly wounded when he passed away. And so, being able to be an extension of his legacy and receiving a scholarship that his mom and his sister created did mean and still means the absolute world to me. And I know that Lily would certainly be pleased with your efforts and how you all have continued to grow the scholarship even from 11 or 12 years ago when that happened. Yeah, it's continuing to take off, and that is amazing. I mean that, and turning pain into purpose. I mean that is his legacy, and that's what you all have done. And I am honored to have been a part of that, and I was honored to win the scholarship, and happy to continue to be an ambassador for the scholarship as well.
Awesome.
I don't know. It just brings, like, because Lily was so humble.
He was.
Like, he was never the person that wanted recognition. So to see how this has come together for him, it's like, it's amazing, man. Like, that's why anytime they ask me to do anything, I'm like, why did you ask? Just tell me. Like, I really looked up to him. Like, every time I was around him, hey man, you got it. Like, he always bigged me up. So how could I say no?
Right.
Yeah, I think it always blesses us just to hear people, talk about, how the light that he had. And that's really why, because even when we started all this, it was just because he was the person that he was, there was just too much bigness there for it to just be like, oh, well, it was like, no, we've got to do something to, keep that going. So thank y'all.
Right.
Thank y'all. And
I remember, when the scholarship got started, I said, man, that is legacy, right? That it's truly, what how do we want to be remembered, after we're gone? And to know that, he passed away, but hundreds and thousands, hopefully one day, of young Black men will be able to get a scholarship in his memory. That I think is a way to honor someone's life and someone's legacy. That that when they're gone, they're not just gone. That people can continue to be blessed by your life even after you're gone. I think is amazing.
Man. Beautiful. Well, guys, any last words, you guys have anything any last words you want to share?
I'm just grateful for the opportunity to have been asked to complete this interview, to have been asked to participate in the pageant, and to be a recipient of the JLD Scholarship. You all are doing some amazing things in this community. I know our police department they are extremely appreciative of your efforts to continue to combat the gun violence that's taking place in our community. my prayer is that young men in our community will continue to be blessed by your efforts, and that we continue to represent and honor Lili's legacy in a way that I'm sure is making him proud today.
Yes.
Well, I don't know. I think that's I mean, like, that's a wrap. Like, I mean, this has really been amazing, Garrett. And I can't say thank you enough for, joining our series. This was just something that, was placed on my heart. And I was so grateful for Coco to come along, because I like to do things with a partner. And so just to have, another one of the recipients and just another young man of color in our community who's out here doing something, like you say, we're not always going to make everybody happy in the things that we do or the decisions that we make or whatever, especially being in a public, position and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, like, you're out here and you're working to do your part to make our community better, to educate people in real estate, help our young people to learn how to build legacy. And those are things that should be celebrated and given a platform to talk about. And so that's why we're so grateful that you have taken the time to come on today. So thank you very much.
Well, I appreciate that. I really do. I really do.
Well, all right, you guys. I hope that you have all enjoyed this conversation, learned a little bit more about Garrett Holloway. And listen, I just want to encourage you, if you haven't done so already today, I want you to stop, take a moment, find a reason to laugh, and keep smiling. Until next time, and always, stay blessed.
Stay blessed. Y'all take care.
All right. Thank you, Garrett.
All right. Thank y'all. Thank y'all.